my God. The curse of Taylor Hall. Dude, this guy has had just the worst luck everywhere he's gone. I mean, the best taste of the playoffs he's got was either in the bubble last season with no fans there, with the Coyotes, which wasn't much of a taste, or with the New Jersey Devils that one year where they got kicked in 5 games by the Lightning, which also wasn't much of a taste. So this guy's just had the worst luck, and it's super weird to me because in the offseason, he said he wants to go to a place where he can win. And then he picks this, dude, snake bitten is an understatement, the absolutely cursed Buffalo Sabres on a 1-year deal, $8 million. It was one of the weirdest, strangest, most bizarre free agent picks I've ever seen since I've been following hockey. And from the minute I saw it, I was like, what? Buffalo? But now, because look, he said he likes Buffalo. So to me, it would be, I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Buffalo Sabres organization, but to me, it would be crazy not to trade this guy, because if he really does love Buffalo, then you sell him now at the trade deadline, get something for him, maybe even eat some salary. He's making $8 million. Buffalo can afford to eat half of that. They can eat $4 million, and then he goes, maybe plays with a winning team, and if he really does like Buffalo that much, you can just re-sign him in the offseason, and then you get to keep Taylor Hall, and you also got some hopefully good assets for him. That's why, to me, it's a no-brainer. This guy needs to be traded from a Buffalo Sabres standpoint. And there are a lot of teams who would really covet a guy like Taylor Hall. I know he's having a down year, but still, scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in the National Hockey League. So getting Taylor Hall would be a huge boost for a ton of teams. Now, I wanted to go over which teams in particular could really use him this season. And yes, this will have a focus on the North Division, but I want to bring up a couple other teams as well. First up, I want to bring up the class of the North Division right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we know they've been on the hunt for a mystery forward, as per Elliot Friedman a few weeks back, right? They're looking for another top 6 forward. Now, maybe that's changed because the way they've played this little while here, they're probably one of the best teams in the NHL, the way they're playing. So maybe if you're Kyle Dubas, you don't want to mess with team chemistry, the lines, and the flow that the team is in. But we do know that he has been searching for a specific top 6 goal-scoring forward to help round out the top 6. The rumor is that he wants someone else to be able to play with Tavares and Nylander. Again, we don't know how much validity there is now, given how good a guy like Zach Hyman has been playing lately, but I do think Toronto would be kicking tires on Taylor Hall. Maybe not fully invested, but definitely looking into it. Up next, it's the Montreal Canadiens. Even in the offseason, these guys were linked to Taylor Hall, because we know Marc Bergevin, this is a season where he wants to win. He's made it very abundantly clear that this is a season he's using as a window to go far in the playoffs. And I know it wasn't looking like it lately with the way they were playing, but this is a winning season, guys, for the Montreal Canadiens, so you need to go all in. I mean, and they already have started that process by firing Claude Julien and going with Dominique Ducharme. So you need to go all in here and pick up a guy like Taylor Hall if you want to do that. And we know that in the offseason, Bergevin said he wasn't that interested in him, but when you've got guys like Tatar, like Danault, right, who you know might not be coming back to the Habs next season, maybe those guys are worth looking at to go for in a Taylor Hall trade, because we know the Habs are going to have to move salary. They don't have a ton of it here, but they need to improve things like their power play, right, and also 5-on-5 offense. So I do think this would be a mutually beneficial thing, because they would be able to move some salary. Say they give Tatar, right? You swap Tatar for Hall. 2 guys who get a fresh start. Of course, Montreal would have to give more because Buffalo would want assets for the future. So they would have to give a draft pick or maybe a guy like a Ryan Poehling, right? So I do think this one is a very legitimate possibility. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind the 14-day quarantine going from US to Canada, right? But when you're looking to win, you got to put all your chips in, and I would not be surprised at all if Taylor Hall ends up going down to Quebec. I'm going to be quick on this one, but I do think my Calgary Flames will be interested. And he's from Calgary. He grew up a Flames fan, we know Taylor Hall has definitely had a bit of interest in playing in Calgary. Probably not now, the way the Flames are just absolutely free-falling. But adding a guy in that top 6, you can maybe move Mangiapane down to the bottom 6. Taylor Hall could play with Backlund and Tkachuk, or maybe Lindholm and Tkachuk. And we know the Flames might be keen to move some other pieces that Buffalo might be interested in. It might be something to consider in some kind of a swap, because then you have the advantage in maybe trying to convince Taylor Hall to stay in Calgary if he does play super well, and he could be a nice weapon. It's looking unlikely now, but if they do decide they want to try and push for the playoffs and still compete there, he could be a guy you look at. Now, as far as teams outside of the North, yes, you are looking at a guy like Taylor Hall who says he wants to win, right? But if he's making decisions like Buffalo, who knows? Maybe he's cool going to Chicago, right? Who they're looking like they might make the playoffs here, but I don't know if they're going to go that far. Does he maybe consider a team like Colorado, like Vegas maybe, like Boston? And yes, I know there are salary cap implications for all these teams. It's going to be super tight on salary, but you will be looking at switching and moving guys around to fit a guy like Taylor Hall, because again, the hardest thing to do in the NHL is provide offense. So if Buffalo does eat, let's say, $4 million in salary, does Colorado look at touching a guy like Brandon Saad, maybe switching that around? Does Vegas look at a guy like Marchessault going the other way in a type of trade like that? Like these are things you have to consider here. Boston's also got some nice pieces they might want to give to Buffalo in a swap for Taylor Hall. So these are just things that have to be looked at. And there's, I would say, a ton of teams who would be interested. I know you're looking at like, what, Taylor Hall, the season he's having? I promise you, there are a ton of teams who are interested in this guy and who would be really keen on getting him. Like, for example, we know the Pittsburgh Penguins under Brian Burke and Hextall, they want to give one more crack at trying to go for a Stanley Cup. Taylor Hall could probably be a big help there to go to the Pittsburgh Penguins. A team like the Hurricanes, Carolina, who needs some scoring. The Florida Panthers, who are first in their division, looking like a cup contender right now. They could say, okay, you know what? We got Huberdeau and Hall at left wing. That is a huge win for us. This is what I mean when I say there are so many teams who could be in on Taylor Hall if the Sabres do decide they want to trade him. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Buffalo, I mean, look, we all know right now this is a joke of a franchise, but if they've got any sense in trying to get out of this, you need to get good assets from Taylor Hall. And look, they could probably evaluate from 10, 15 different teams giving them trade offers and pick the best one. And from a Buffalo standpoint, yes, that is the risky part, or the part that maybe scares fans, is they need to pick the best one. Take it from a Flames fan in the Jerome McGinley trade. Worst trade that could have been taken at all, dude. I mean, Jerome McGinley goes to Pittsburgh for Kenny Agostino, Ben Hanowski, Morgan Klimchuk. You've never heard of those guys, and for good reason, because none of them were any good. So you trade the best player in franchise history for basically nothing. And no, I am still not over that 7-8 years later. So Buffalo, don't make that same mistake. That's why this is going to be super interesting. If you ask me, I personally think it is a very high chance Hall's going to get traded. And again, if he does like Buffalo that much, just re-sign there in the offseason. You're on a 1-year deal, man. Let me know what you guys think for the Buffalo Sabres, Taylor Hall in this situation. Who should be extra keen on getting him? I think Montreal might make a big play for him. We'll see about that. And let me know what you guys think. For more hockey content, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.